Morning, guys. Happy Friday. I hope everybody has some great plans for rest and hanging out and having fun with your family this weekend. I'm Angela Sackett. I write for everydaywelcome.com. And I wanted to just come on and chat and talk with you a little bit this morning about saying no to make room for yes. And this is something that I've talked about before because I'm preaching to myself. Let's see, I've said no. Oh, my sister's there. Hey, girly. So let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me because I'm trying out some different earphones because I'm on the road. Hey, Chris, good to see you too, or maybe that's Tammy. So I want to talk just for a few minutes this morning about saying no to make room for yes. And ironically, I don't know if you can tell in the background, but I'm coming to you from Sandy Cove Conference and Retreat Center in Maryland. This not sunny Friday. Came to just hang out with my littlest and spend some time together. And so we had to say no to a few things in order to get here and say yes. Hey, Megan, good to see you too. To just some sweet time, mother-son time together. So I want to talk to you just for a few minutes. I am getting ready to run a challenge to kick my own tail this summer, calling it Seasoned. And making way for the Salt and Light life. And we're going to talk during that challenge about how do we make space in our lives? How do we get our hearts in a place where we're ready to pour out our lives to loving other people and to sharing God's love with them? And so for me, that means that I have to clear some space in my heart, in my mind, in my life, in my house, because I really want to live a life that's poured out. And maybe you're in the same place, and I don't know. Raise your hands, give me a thumbs up if you're the same way, but I think especially for women, we tend to say yes to everything. We want to do all of the things. Hey, Nikki. And my husband did this little monologue in the kitchen the other day for my family. He said, I'm mom. You want to do that? Yes. Want to do that? Yes. Want to do that, and that all at the same time? Yay, that's me. And it was funny, but it was funny because it was sadly true. And I think that as women especially, we tend to think we can do all the things, and not just we can, but we should be able to do all the things. We should be able to work and take care of our kids and love our husbands and have a perfect house and put, Pinterest worthy meals on the table at all times. And I like to do all of those things. Well, maybe not the cleaning part. But I can't do them all at once. And the truth of the matter is, if I'm busy creating recipes for a blog or a magazine article, half the time that means that my husband walks in the door and I say, what are you making for dinner? Or what are you grabbing? Hey, Lori, what are you going to grab at Aldi to whip up tonight? Because we can't do them all. But I think that it's super important for us to kind of take time to step back and say, okay, well, what is most important? What do I want to devote my life to? What am I gifted for? What am I called to do? And what needs to go in order to make that happen? And that is the truth of the matter. So I want to kind of just for a second talk about 4 different areas: physically, spiritually, in our relationships, and then our environment. In what areas can we say no to make room for the yeses that really matter the most? And chime in if I say something that hits home for you, or maybe you have a great tip or a resource that we all need to hear. Hey, Angie, good to see you. I would love to hear it. I know everybody else watching would love to hear it. That's my favorite, when I start to see comments going back and forth and you guys are encouraging each other. Somebody shoot me a thumbs up. Sound okay? These happen to be the headphones I had in my bag and left my other ones at home, so nobody's saying yes, but nobody's clicking off, so I think maybe you can hear. All right, so physically, I've talked a little bit about doing a Whole 30. It's a challenge where you take 30 days to sort of say no to a whole lot of things. And the first time I read about it, it scared the life out of me. It's no sugar, no grains, no dairy. Can't remember what the other things are, for 30 days that you say, I'm going to give these things up. And the purpose is to try to figure out what works best for your body, what makes you feel strong and healthy, what is good for you, basically. And when I just finished my 4th Whole 30 days of giving up those things. And it's so interesting to me because when I'm in the middle of it, food is really important. I write about food a lot in our lives. It's a part of everything that we do. Hey, Lynn Marie. it's always in front of us. So lots of times when I'm doing a Whole30 and I'm at a friend's house or even at our own house and I say, oh no thanks, people will say, well, why don't you want that? Or can't you have that? And there's this feeling in us, I think, that if we say no to something on our plates, or if we say, I can't have that, it gives us this feeling of being deprived and like we're missing out on something. But there's I don't know, a sort of flip that has happened in my thinking when I've been on that particular journey. And that is, it's okay to say no because there's something good happening in my body during that time. And I've noticed for me, when I'm in that period of giving up some things, I feel better. I have more energy. I feel stronger. And I'm not here to sell you the Whole30 program. That's just something that has been good for me. It's helped me to discover what's good for my body. I feel better. Joints don't feel sore. I'm not puffy. I feel like I'm losing weight. So I'm giving up something in order to gain better things, more energy. And not always will I give all of those things up. There's a time when we splurge and there's a time when we have treats, but when we are willing to give up something physically, we can gain health, we can gain energy. And in the same way, so this is cyclical for me. Anybody else give me a thumbs up if you struggle with this too. We can give up our ability to feel good in the moment in order to feel good in the long run. And by that, I'm talking about working out. I have times when I am in a great rhythm and I am, somebody else can relate. I'm, running or walking or doing yoga with my daughter and I am on a roll and I'm feeling good and I'm disciplined. And then there are other times when I get in this mindset like, oh, I don't want to get up out of bed, or I don't want to have to go be out of breath, or, have my muscles hurt. And when you work out hard, I went to a CrossFit class with a friend, recently, and for 3 days I could barely walk up the stairs. I could barely sit down on a chair. I'll just put it that way. It hurt. It hurt a lot. But when we do that consistently, and those of you who are athletes and are more active than I am, you can attest to this. My friend Kelly, she leads fitness classes. When you're willing to give up that ability to be comfortable for a period of time, you're building and you're investing in what's good for your body in the long run. So just kind of want to maybe challenge us to start thinking about that. Is there something in your life that physically you can give up in the short term that will give you benefits in the long run? So that's the first one. The second one is spiritually. And for some of you, I know that tune in and watch. I'm really grateful you're here. And this whole idea of like spiritual stuff is kind of cool and you're sort of interested in it. And I know for some that are watching, your life is about following Christ and being ready to do what he calls you to do. And that's where I am. Hi, Greta. Nice to see you here. For wherever you are, the fact is, and this is a truth, we are people who are created by a God who loves us, who created us for a purpose, and he wants us to walk and live in that purpose that he has for us. And the ultimate purpose is to love him, to glorify him, to give our lives, there went a headset, to give our lives back to him. I'm just going to let that hang. And so what I want to say is there are things that we can give up. And maybe for you, this is the first time that you're hearing this or the first time that you're really thinking about this. But I want to say, message me privately later if this is the case for you, that is the first time you're hearing this. Or maybe you do want to learn more about what does this mean? Why are you so passionate about loving God or following Jesus with your life? But there are some things that we can give up in the short term here on earth, in our day to day, that give us the ability to have more fulfillment in life, but even more importantly, we may not feel it in the moment, but to really be living according to how we were created to live. And I want to refer to 2 Corinthians 10:5, talks about refusing to give in to let our thoughts be controlled by what is not true or by what is not honoring to God. And I want to say to you, if you have thoughts in your mind that maybe for you, you're at the beginning of your journey of this religious stuff, this God stuff isn't real, or I don't need to give my life to that. Or maybe you're, 10, 15, 20 years into your journey of knowing God, and you say, that little thing right there, I'm going to hold on to. I'm not ready to give that up. I want to challenge you and encourage you that if that is something that is in your heart, there's this little prick right now as I'm talking that, there's that thing, and I don't want to give that up, but maybe I should. let it go. Say no to it. Maybe it's living in fear of, I'll be honest, I've said this before, I'm in the season of parenting young adults, and there are some conversations that we've had to have along the way that I start to think, gosh, if I say that, they're going to get mad at me, or maybe they're going to stop talking to me. But if I love them, I need to say that thing. So for me, maybe that thing is fear. I need to say no to fear. I will not be driven by fear, but I will speak the truth in love to the people in my life that I care about, that need to hear it. Or maybe for you, that thing is, I have the right to live and walk and do what I want to do whenever I want to do it. Well, I want to encourage you that if that's where you are, maybe there are some things that God is saying to you beyond just, maybe I shouldn't eat dairy, it's not good for me, but maybe I shouldn't watch this show, or maybe I shouldn't go to this place, or maybe I shouldn't hang out in this environment because it's not helping you grow. So whatever that thing is, I just want to challenge you, hold on to it, don't throw it out the window, but maybe be willing to say no to that thing because God has something better for me. And Philippians 4:8 also talks about whatever is good, whatever is noble, whatever is just. You know, if you've been walking with the Lord for very long and reading your Bible, that passage is familiar to you. Think on these things. Maybe for you, it's just something that you're thinking about, that you're letting your thoughts focus on, that you know darn good and well is not good for you to think about. I want to dare you to say, I'm out of here. I'm letting it go because it's not what's best for me. Hey, Susan, good to see you too. Recently, I heard someone share about a passage in scripture that says, we know that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. And we know, if we believe that, if you've known God for very long, if you're willing to say no to something, he does promise that he has something better for you, for your good and for his glory. So short-term no's, what are those? What are those things that you might be able to say no to right now because there's something better waiting for you? And I want to promise you, if you follow the Lord, there are good, better, stronger, wiser things that he's calling you to walk into. And that kind of leads into the area of relationships. So there's two things that I think where this principle applies: saying no to say yes. And the first one is saying no to relationships that are unhealthy, that aren't beneficial, that aren't wise. Proverbs especially talks a lot about choosing your relationships, choosing your friendships wisely, because those help to shape who you are as a person. They also shape your reputation. So if there's a relationship that you're in that you know darn good and well, I'll say that again, it's not healthy for you, maybe there's a point where you need to say, I'm going to pull away from this in this season, or I'm going to start to speak truth about what my boundaries are going to be, or what is and isn't okay, so that I can go forward in what's healthy and what's beneficial. And I'm not saying that, you end a friendship just because you're going through a hard time. Sometimes we got to walk through hard stuff in order to get to the beautiful things that God has in store. I've had a couple of friendships recently, one right now where a friend and I are working through some decision making, and we're both having to step back and say, okay, hang on a second. Communication here kind of went awry, or we both had different expectations here. And I saw a thumbs up. Maybe you're feeling the same way. Maybe you know that you're in a friendship that maybe you need to pull away from it, or maybe you just need to walk through some hard communication and some speaking the truth in love to each other to say, here's what's going to be good for us and here's what's not. Angie said that's huge for me. So many unhealthy relationships. And there is a balance, because I do want to say this in the seasoned challenge that I'm getting ready to share a little bit about for this summer. We're going to talk about what relationships can look like, what God can call us to be brave in relationships. So there's two types of relationships. If you're a Christian and you're following Jesus, the relationships in the family, the body of Christ, other people who say, I love God and I follow him, and then relationships with people who don't know him yet. And I have both, and we're supposed to have both. And there are healthy ways that we can approach both of those. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I want to challenge you just right now, even as you're listening, maybe jot down the name of somebody. Hey, Kim, I'm going to brag. Kim Russo, who just chimed in or popped in to say hi. She is the mama of a brand new baby girl. So congratulate her. Give her a heart or a thumbs up if you would. But yeah, right now, maybe even write down the name of one or two people that you know. I need to be more intentional in my relationship with that person, either in maybe taking a little step back or maybe being more intentional in how I speak to them, what I listen to. And that's really important too. We need to be so careful about who we listen to. So when I mentioned the two types of relationships, those who follow Christ, those who have the same values and goals that you do, and those who don't, they're going to be different types of relationships. And I can tell you only one of them is where you should be getting your wisdom from. Megan said, congratulations, Kim. We need to be listening to, bringing. Sorry about that. I think I'm still live. I got a call coming in. I had to say, no, can't take it right now. We need to be listening to the wisdom of people who know God and who value what he has to say as truth. So I want you to think about right now, who do you take your advice from? Who do you listen to? Who do you say, I'm struggling with my husband, with my relationship with my husband or with my kids. Who do you go to say, help me with this? You need to be going to people who are wise according to God's word, who are going to point you back to what is eternally true, not just what makes you feel good in the moment. And I've said this before, but I have girlfriends that I know, if I'm in a frustrating place with my husband and I call him up and I say, you're never going to believe what Brian did, blah, blah, blah. I have some friends, not many close in this season of my life, who I know would say, oh my word, what a jerk. I can't believe he did that to you. And then I have other friends that I know are going to say, wow, that stinks. I am so sorry for you. So what do you need to do in this situation? Yeah, and those are the friendships that you want to go to. Those are the people that you want to be seeking input and wisdom from, not from people who are going to tell you what makes you feel good in the moment. And that doesn't mean, again, that we don't have friendships and relationships that we're pouring into, but you want to be very careful about what you're taking in as wisdom and what you're taking in as truth for your life. And that kind of leads to the last point, and that is, what can we say no to in our environment to make room to say yes for what matters? So, let me say this first before that. Relationships. The other thing I want to say is this. We can say no to our right to feel good about ourselves in the moment, or to just feel good in general in the moment. And what I mean by that is, I talked about relationships that we want to invest in, where we want to get our wisdom from people who truly are wise. But we also need to be in relationships on some level with people who do not believe the same way we do not think the way we do. And we need to go about those intentionally. So I have friends who I know that their values aren't the same as mine. They are precious friends. I want to spend time with them. I want to have coffee with them. We're going to hang out. But we're going to do that in a place that honors who I am, knowing that I am a daughter of the King of Kings, that God created me to live my life to glorify him. I'm going to do that, have those friendships in a way that invests in them. And what that means is that sometimes I'm going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes I'm going to be hanging out with a friend or a neighbor or a coworker that doesn't believe what I believe. Maybe they think that something I'm doing is stupid, or something I'm saying no to is stupid, kind of flashing back to that idea of the Whole30. There have been times when I say, no, thank you, I don't want that cupcake loaded with chocolate buttercream frosting that I do want with everything in me. And I may know that that friend who's with me in that moment may think I'm a moron because I'm saying no to such an amazing thing. In the same way, we may have friendships, and I say friendships, acquaintances, where I may say, no, I'm not going to get drunk, or I'm not going to go hang out in this place, because what I really need to be doing is spending time with my husband, or what I really need to be doing is honestly opening my Bible and learning more about what is true and how I'm called to live. And those friendships where we're not like-minded, those may make us feel uncomfortable. In that moment, we may have a friend who thinks, what a fool you are. How can you believe that? Or how can you live that way? But those relationships are still important because we are investing in those relationships and those friendships. And so we might say no to our comfort in a given moment, our wanting to feel good about something in order to invest in what matters eternally in friendships and relationships. So now going into what can we say no to in our environment to make space. Randy Evans, Pastor Randy, hey, good to see your name pop up there. Love your family and miss them. What can we say no to in our environment? And by environment, I mean our calendar, our time, and also in our home and our surroundings in order to make space for yeses. A couple of years ago, my parents had built a beautiful Sorry, phone ringing. You want to get that? My littlest is in the background. He's going to take care of it for us. A couple of years ago, my parents had built this beautiful home. It was their dream home. And they decided to sell their dream home and to move into their fifth wheel. And they did that on purpose to free up their lives to be ready to follow where the Lord wanted them to go. And so they are currently in this season of their lives living in a fifth wheel in a little beautiful little mobile home park in Charlotte, North Carolina, because they want to be ready financially. They want to be ready with their environment to pick up and go wherever the Lord calls them to go. Now, for you, that may not be your calling. You might not be called to give up your home. But is there something that you said yes to on your calendar? Maybe it's a sports league that you know in your gut is just a little bit too much time for your family to be running around crazy and owned by that. Not that I speak from experience or anything. Or maybe it's a job that you're in that you think this is taking more time than I am supposed to be dedicating to this. Maybe it's, I don't know, some kind of a social activity that you signed up for and you know in your gut, gosh, that's taking attention that I'm not supposed to be spending there, but I could be spending in intentional relationships or in growing in my walk with God and who I am in Him. And so, what are those things that you could be saying no to on your calendar, commitments that you've made? And I'm going to dare you to really look at this intentionally. Look at your calendar right now. If you write things down, I have both. I have digital and I have the big wall calendar for the family, and I have my big planner that I carry around. Look at it right now and look at the commitments that you have for the next month or two and ask yourself, is every one of these things on purpose? Is every one of these things something that I'm committed to for a reason that's moving me forward in obedience to God or in becoming the person that He's called me to be, in having the freedom to invest in relationships on purpose? And if there's anything on that calendar that's written in there that maybe isn't that, maybe it's not for the best for you going forward, I want to dare you to cross it off. Give somebody a call and say, I wanted to say yes to this in the moment, but I really can't right now. And here's why. If you want to say that, here's why. Because when we're willing to do that, when we're willing to say no to one thing, God has something bigger that He's called us to do moving forward. Now, maybe there's something that you're signed up to do that it's not your favorite, but you know it's something that you're investing in. Stick with that. I'm not saying drop everything, but really, really be intentional about what have we said yes to that maybe isn't truly an investment going forward for what we're called to do in life. Maybe it's not truly an investment in relationships that are intentional, that are sharing God's love, that are building one another up. Be willing. I'm daring you to do that on purpose, to really analyze that. And then also in our homes. And I'm going to do this over the next couple weeks. And if anybody wants to do this with me, say yes in the comments below. I live up north where we have seasons and we have to switch out our closets for every season that comes around. It's finally stopped snowing, I think, up here in New Jersey. Well, I'm in Maryland today, but and it's time to start pulling out the warm weather clothes. So I'm going to start purging closets. I'm going to start purging my home. What are the things in my house that take up my time and energy that I have to clean or dust or fix that aren't really investing in our future? And what are those things for you? What are those things that you can say no to in your environment? Maybe there's furniture or clutter in your house that just take up your time, take up your mental energy, that you can say, this needs to go so I can be free to move forward. So if you're interested in doing that with me, say yes in the comments below, and maybe we'll do like a little challenge. But in the meantime, I want you to look at your calendar. Backing up, I want you to look at physically in our bodies, these bodies that God gave us to operate with, and ask yourself, is there anything that I can say no to? My personal comfort in the moment, I need to get out and go for a long walk. Yep. All right, sister, we're in. We're going to challenge each other. Maybe there's something that you know that you're eating. Maybe it's that extra bowl of ice cream every night. I don't know. That's your business. I don't want to get all up in it, as they would say. But is there something that you can say no to in this season, physically, to enable yourself to be stronger, to feel better, to have more energy for who God is calling you to be? Spiritually, is there something that you know you're spending your time on, or your energy on, or your thoughts on, that isn't truth, that isn't noble, that isn't just, that isn't in what God has called you to dwell on? Can you say no to that? To make room for truth, to make room for hope and joy to come in. relationships. Is there a habit? Is there a relationship that you know in this season it's not in a healthy place, and I either need to pull back, I need to communicate, speak truth in love, or maybe I even need to get out of that relationship right now so that I can invest where God wants me to invest. Saying no to say yes. And then finally, in your environment, on your calendar, in your house, are there things that maybe God is saying, get rid of that, because it's not helping you. It's just taking up your time. It's taking up your energy to make room for what's coming next. And I'm going to point to that really quick. So this summer, I am going to run a challenge for 8 weeks. Oh, Megan! Facebook? Yeah. Social media can be that time and energy suck, girlfriend. It's Pinterest. I'll just say it out loud. Pinterest and Instagram both can do that for me. So maybe we hold each other accountable. Maybe we say, before I get on Facebook at night, I'm going to spend 10 minutes in my Bible, or I'm going to write a note to a friend that I know needs to know I'm praying for her. This morning, I got a message from a friend that I've never met who lives in California, who said, I'm praying for you this morning. I'm praying that God gives you a moment of unexpected joy in your day. She took 3 minutes this morning and sent me a message that just blessed my heart. And so maybe for you, it's that. Maybe you say, before I do this, or I'm going to only give myself 20 minutes, and then I'm going to invest in an extra 10 minutes with my husband. So whatever that thing is, call me out too, because I need to be held accountable to that. So really quick, Seasoned, I'm calling it, an 8-week series, challenge, community this summer, that we're going to talk about what does it mean to live the salt and light life. If you are a follower of Jesus, that phrase salt and light is familiar to you, but I will put a link below if you're interested in that. We're going to talk about practical ways to say no, to say yes. How can we structure our days, our time, our lives, our homes to be available, hey Brenda, to love people with intention, to give them the love that God has for them, to speak truth and love to them. If you're interested in that, I'll drop the link below. Just sign up you'll get my emails, and then I'll let you know when we're ready to go live with that challenge. Whoops. Yes, awesome. Okay, I'll put that link in below. Feel free, if you're watching later or even after we're done, leave some comments. Some of you that are saying hi today are wise people, and we all need to hear what you have to say. So if you have thoughts on any of these areas, where can we say no in order to make room for more important yeses? Drop that in the comments below, because I want to hear, and I know everybody else does too. And I'll leave you a link below to sign up if you're interested in the Seasoned challenge that we're running this summer. You guys have an awesome Friday. Hey Isaac, will you come say hi real quick? My Isaac and I are headed off to the aquarium today. We said no to everything else so we could have a little yes time. Hey! Say hi to everyone.
Hello.
So where are we going today?
The aquarium.
What are you most looking forward to seeing?
Dolphins.
Dolphins. Oh! We're trying to remember if they have dolphins. And what was the big thing you told me about we're going to walk across?
Shark Bridge.
We're going to go see the Shark Bridge at the Camden Aquarium. So wish me luck. I don't really want to walk across the Shark Bridge, but I'm going to say no to my fear to say yes to some good time with my guy, my blue-eyed boy. All right, want to tell everybody have a good day?
Yeah.
There it is. Have a good day. Oh, Asher says hi, and Aunt Carrie says she loves dolphins.
Hi.
And Miss Angie says you're a mini Brian.
Okay.
He does look a lot like his dad, doesn't he? All right, my phone answer awaits, and off we go to the aquarium. Love you guys. Have an awesome Friday. If there's one thing that you felt led as I was talking today that you need to say no to, or that you need to tweak your yes that you're saying in this season, I dare you, leave a comment below, because I want to know, and we'll hold each other accountable. And I'll say right now, cleaning out my closet and those Pinterest, Instagram binge sessions, thanks for hitting me right between the eyes, Megan. All right, guys, have a good Friday. Love y'all. Bye-bye.